Welcome to the People's Guild.
Each week we explore the Splinterland universe with guests from all across the mythical land of Praetoria.
Join us on our journey as we discuss the evolution of the game, the strategy, the lore, and the exciting path that lies ahead.
To support the People's Guild, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and also check us out on PeakD, YouTube, and Twitter.
Send your questions, suggestions, and epic battles in our comments through Twitter or email at thepeoplesguildspl@gmail.com. We'll feature the best in our episodes and maybe airdrop you some prizes.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode, another wonderful guest for you guys. This is a conversation I've been meaning to have for quite some time. I first saw Jeff make an appearance on, I want to say the Keys and Gang show. Man, many moons ago. Since I've been following him on YouTube and gone down the rabbit hole of his personal business YouTube, which we'll talk about here momentarily. He's got some pretty viral, sensational videos, thanks to the likes of a particular Pokemon card that absolutely hysterical and justifiably viral. Quick acknowledgement to Aqualis Crypto Eater, doing cool stuff, continuing to kind of push things forward with Aqualis. I think the token's getting ready to go live before too long. For those of you that haven't heard, Push and Shove is also making some airwaves, which is a cool little new project of Crypto Eaters making. Yeah, but without further ado, we got JeffOpensCards, man. Welcome to the show, dude. It's good to finally formally meet you and have you on the show, man.
Good to meet you, sir.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being here. Before we kind of dive into your background a little bit, you said you're from Wisconsin. So are cheese curds or bratwurst, like what's the ultimate Wisconsin food in your opinion? Which one is it, or is it something
about
else?
a half hour ago I had some air fried cheese curds, so there you go.
Nice. Yeah.
That was my dinner.
Now, so are you a marinara guy or are you a ranch when it comes to fried cheese curds? Ranch. All right. I'm a little partial to marinara. I'm not a huge fan of ranch, so and I know which is a very strange take for most people, but
well, I don't think ranch entered my menu until like maybe 5 years ago. I got cheese curds, started getting those at Culver's. Was just like ketchup, I think, for a little bit. Then did marinara. I was like, let me try ranch, and now I'm hooked on ranch. So.
This is all news to me. I had no idea that was like the dividing line amongst Wisconsinites, Midwesterners was marinara or ranch.
I went to last time I was out in Wisconsin. My sister lives out there. It was during Columbus Day weekend, and we went downtown to Milwaukee and actually went to they're having an Oktoberfest. We went to that, but before that there was like a cheese curd fest. And it was like all different kinds of cheese curds and food trucks. And there's a place that had made like these, it was just like cheese curd pizza. And that was just phenomenal. I don't really think I'm going to get good pizza when I'm in Wisconsin, but it was like a thin crust with just basically like cheese curds baked on it. And oh man, it was so good.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So cheese curds is essentially just chunks of cheese, right? Like there's nothing different. It's just a naming thing.
And I only eat deep fried stuff because that's how I am.
But what I understand is that like the process of making it is it creates like curd, just like chunks of it, and I think like it's more like before. I'm not sure exactly the whole process, but it is different than just cheddar cheese or something like that.
So a cheese curd, according to Google, a cheese curd isn't a special kind of cheese. It's just a young cheddar that hasn't been aged at all.
Okay.
So maybe that's the differentiation.
Yeah. Well, so I think they like press it together and then age it, right, into like big blocks or hunks. So yeah.
Yum.
Yeah, I box from Walmart and Costco. I'm not fancy.
Nice, dude. So you well before your days of being a whale in Splinterlands, you have run a successful gaming shop. The Game Capital, correct me if I'm wrong, is the name of your in real life gaming shop. What kind of
Yes.
took you down that path, man? And how long have you been running the business?
Well, as a freshman in college, 2004, I was buying Pokemon cards. I like discovered eBay. It's like, oh, it's cheaper here than the only local shop I had. So I started buying boxes on there. I was playing the game competitively. And next new, it's like, oh, I got like $200 to my name. I kind of want to afford the next set that comes out so I can be competitive. Let me sell the cards I don't need for my decks. And that was the unofficial start of the business was Pokemon card collection with $200 to my name. And that was fall of 2004.
Coming up on 2 decades, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, time freaks me out.
Yeah, time is such a weird thing. Completely agree,
I had
man.
the realization a day or two ago. It's like, oh, it's been like 20 years almost for that. And also, like, Cully's before that was like, huh, I could have come May, I could have gone back to 4 years of high school and college 2 more times since I graduated. Like, has it really been 16 years since I graduated college? I guess, but does not feel like 16 years. So it's scary.
Yeah.
The relativity of time it blows my mind.
So when you were selling the cards, were you just selling them locally to people, or were you selling them online on eBay and just trying
Just
to
on
make some
eBay.
money? Yeah. Nice.
Yeah,
And then how did
basically,
that develop into getting the shop opened up?
yeah, basically every 2 years since then, the space the business occupies doubles. So as a freshman and sophomore in college, it was in my dorm room with a roommate. The business fit under my lofted bed and closet. And then junior, senior of college, I was in an efficiency apartment with no roommate, which became basically a small warehouse. There's videos of that on now it's the Game Capital YouTube channel, formerly Me003. But yeah, the old personal videos are still on the business channel because professional and everything. If you search messy efficiency apartment, the Game Capital, you can see how I lived just before I left college. Like I record that just after like making one car trip with the stuff out of there right before I graduate or right after. Um, then upon graduating college, moved back with my parents for a bit. The business took up like half the living room. I forget if they had any cars in their garage or not, or I took the whole garage. They didn't have a lot of step-in room inside, uh, so I graduated May of 08, got my first house October of 09. Business then basically took up the small one-stall garage and the entire basement and basically everything but the master bedroom and the one bathroom. Kitchen had inventory, dining room had inventory, spare bedrooms had inventory, everything had inventory. Then eventually got a small warehouse and then a bigger warehouse and then a bigger warehouse with some offices where I could also record videos. And then added to that the first brick and mortar, which was May of 2017 we opened. And then December of 2019, we moved and opened in a larger shop where we currently are with the warehouse also, which is now 10,800 square feet.
Holy
Ooh.
macro, man. Pokemon is continuing to boom, huh? Is that still kind of the bread and butter of the business? Is Pokemon has been the main staple throughout all these years?
Yeah, generally 2/3 of our inventory value, 2/3 of our sales is Pokemon. Most card shops like ours, Magic, the Gathering is their bread and butter, but since everyone's doing that, and I personally know Pokemon, we steered heavily into that. Before we opened the shop, I went to like every card shop within an hour radius and didn't see a single Pokemon card in anyone's display case. Everyone had Magic, a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! One shop had some White Schwartz cards. I'm sure some had singles for Pokemon, like in binders if you asked, but none were like out on display. Whereas we've got like 7 displays full of Pokemon singles and walls full and got a wall of plushies of Pokemon, and we're all Pokemon all the time.
Wow. So what is the business model like? Are you buying like bulks of packs and then opening them up and trying to sell the singles that are valuable and then, moving the bulk other stuff online?
Then the last couple sets, we've pretty much stopped doing like mass openings for singles, just basically opportunity costs as far as time and stuff goes. But people can trade in their singles or their bulk to us for store credit or for cash for a lower rate. We do live breaks on Twitch and now TikTok as well. We sell sealed product on TikTok, got our own website that needs to become a bigger priority probably, but just like I said, opportunity cost and time is always limited. So there's always more we want to do than we can reasonably do. Different stuff on Amazon as well. So TikTok is new for us. Started selling on TikTok in September. And I think we're already at about 80,000 orders on TikTok since then. And we're
Wow.
just now starting to try doing the live, like rip and ship live breaks on there as well, additionally to just the seal product.
That's cool, man. Have you noticed? I'm sure you've got some very loyal customers that you've gathered over the years, but have you noticed as you've kind of started dipping your fingers into these new pies of or avenues of reaching customers? Is your customer base growing younger? Is the Pokemon generation, kind of moving along with you? Is Pokemon kind of reaching way outside of what it used to? What does that look like?
I feel like in general, the Pokemon fandom and collector base is just always expanding. Like, depending on who you ask, some people be like, oh yeah, so and so quit Pokemon, but then 6 months or 2 years or ever later, like they get back in again. Basically, it seems like no one ever really successfully quits Pokemon forever. They always find a way back in over some amount of time. It varies for everybody, of course, but so those that think they quit come back, or they get kids and then they get their kids involved because it gives them reminders of what they used to enjoy as well. And so just ever expanding, I feel like.
That's interesting. Are there a lot of tournaments? I'm familiar with like Pokemon, the video game, and the TV show and stuff like that. And I never really actually got into the cards of Pokemon. But so are there like a lot of like local tournaments where people are using these cards? Is it more people like local groups? Are you hosting stuff out of your shop and stuff too? Games out of your shop, things like that?
Yes to all the above. We've got scene for usually at least 64 like set up at all times. Our like event space is upwards of 2,000 square feet or more right now, and like what we have around it. Um, the biggest events are like regionals and national championships. You can qualify for Worlds, which is a large event as far as scope, of course, but less players have to qualify for it. And they've last couple of years started doing those in different countries, so they're less accessible, at least to those in the US. I believe they're in the UK last year. They're going to be in Japan. And then I believe Hawaii is the year after that now again. So they haven't been in the continent of the US. They'll, between COVID and now going out of the country, will be 5+ years, I think, since their last Worlds in the continental US. And no telling if or when they'll be back in the continental US. But I personally never qualified for Worlds. But our general managers, he got second place in Worlds in 2016, which is how I reconnected with him. And a few months later, he was working for me. So
That's a nice little claim to fame for the shop, man. That's hey, have you ever talked shop with, shout out to one of our other routine guests, Azurcon. He's a
no,
huge Pokemon guy. Have you guys ever connected and kind of
I did
geeked
not
out
know
on
he
all things
knew what
Pokemon?
Pokemon even was. So no.
Oh yeah, he's a huge Pokemon gamer. Well, credit to Pokemon, man, for man, how long has it been around? You must have kind of joined in soon after the origins of Pokemon, right? I remember when
I
we're,
first
we're the
started
same
playing
age.
when the second set Jungle was releasing. Somehow my mom like learned about it, I think before I did, possibly. And like she just felt like I like would need to get involved or something. It's like she was calling Toys R Us every day to see if they had packs in stock. And like if they did, go out there quick and get what you can kind of thing. And because when it first came out, like when Toys R Us or anybody stocked them, like they were sold out with probably within an hour or two. You couldn't just walk anywhere and just get packs casually, kind of like Code was, where people were starting fights in parking lots. I don't know if it got that bad back then, but maybe.
Hmm. Wow, that's some serious staying power, and they continue to keep themselves relevant with I remember Pokemon Go came out maybe 2016, 2017, and kind of reignited everything. And then who was it? Jake Paul, Aaron Paul said something about one of the Pokemon cards a couple of years ago, and the market just completely responded in kind.
It was quite the perfect storm between COVID and influencers getting involved and everything else. So I pretty much all collectibles boomed during COVID just because people were getting, free money and stuff from the government, and no one likes to save money. So they just, threw it at stuff like collectibles because that's more fun.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a stash of like comic books at my dad had given me that he had gotten from, he was married to someone previously before my mom, and his father-in-law had given him like boxes of old comic books, and I've got a bunch of them. Some of them are really, really valuable. If they were in mint condition, they're not in the best shape, but I kind of, they're sitting around and they're bagged and stuff, but I never got them like appraised and sealed up. And I'm kind of like, man, I should have done it then during COVID, because that was the perfect time, and just tried to sell them and make some money. But I've got like some crazy, like I have the first appearance of the Sentinels and the X-Men, I think is like one of the ones that's like it's like X-Men number, like, I don't even know if it's like 13 or something like that. It's crazy. It's like they're old. So yeah, I really we should have jumped on that wagon sooner, but you know, day late and end up a dollar short like always.
Yeah, on the same time, I was trying to get my dad to grade some of his like old baseball cards from like the 50s and 60s, because yeah, but
Yeah.
he didn't.
I
That's
know my
cool, man.
parents
So,
also gave me like a giant box of like baseball cards and football cards that I have, and I don't know, they're mostly from like the 90s, like the mid 90s, as a kid, early mid 90s, and just feel like try to look at like what could, even like the most valuable cards from that era are, and a lot of them are just like, cards were so overprinted in that era that some of the most expensive ones are only worth like $30 or something like that. I'm like, am I going to go through 1,000 cards to try to find like a couple that are, add up to like maybe $100? And yeah, and they're still sitting in a box somewhere up in the attic.
so into Splinterlands, obviously a very different kind of venue for the collectible scene. I think it's safe to say that you've brought a lot of your kind of business savvy to what you do and how you operate in Splinterlands. How much of that kind of translates directly, and how much have you had to, kind of shift? And what is your kind of breakdown of your approach to, I guess, Splinterlands as a whole? Is it mostly pleasure, mostly business? How do you kind of view your role?
Probably more pleasure than business, at least more so than it should be, given how much I have invested in it. Um, yeah, so I'd say it's more personal than business than it should be. Because I always kind of joke to myself, like, if I was only going for ROI and stuff, like, I wish I didn't like playing the game, basically, because I always get like sucked in, like, oh well, I can make more probably by not playing the game and just doing LPs and stuff like that. But I was like, oh well, I want to do tournaments and I want to play ranked, and like it's cool to get 10 SPS for one win. Like maybe it's not the best earnings, but like it's more like quick instant gratification and stuff like that too. But like I'm always like running numbers and stuff, trying to convince myself to like not do certain things, but I can't get myself to not do certain things just because it's too fun. So that's where it like gets me.
Is that kind of unique for you with Splinterlands, or you like that with some Pokemon cards too, or you're like, well, I really love this card, but I can make some money selling it, but you hold on to it?
There could be something there because again, like with the business, I started the business unofficially because I just wanted to be able to afford the next set for Pokemon. But then once the business gets so big, then you don't play Pokemon anymore because you're running the business. So maybe with Splinterlands, while I have a lot invested, I'm trying to hold on to the hobby of it, even though I'm constantly numbers like, oh, but there are on this is that. And if I do this, it's this much. And so I shouldn't do this, I should do that instead, but I want to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, I might have something there. I might be stuck on playing because I lost playing Pokemon because of the business. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to hold on to that, even if all the numbers tell me not to.
Yeah, well,
Is
I was curious about, how much of your loss of being able to play Pokemon, is that just being so immersed in the business side of it that it kind of sucked the fun out of it, or you just literally don't have time to participate?
Pretty much a lack of time, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mostly play competitively through college, so like 2004, 2009. Um, and then the business was my full-time gig. I had the last jobs I had. So in college, first summer, that would be summer of what, 2005 then. I worked at Wendy's for 2 weeks, got 11 hours. I was like, this isn't worth the time to get here. Like, go for a 4 hour shift. You're there for an hour. Yeah, we're not busy. You can go home. It's like, but gas is $4 a gallon. And like, I need to make something. And I got a job building roof troughs for 3 weeks, which I was not built for. The 3 weeks I was there, the head of the line was a major butt hat. He got heat rash in his face. My dad's friend who helped give me the interview in the job, he got a nail through his foot, and the little Asian guy threw his back out. It was like, hey dad, can I quit this and like try this eBay thing full time? And got my dad's blessing, and that was June 21st, 2005. So that's when it. Since then, I've worked for a paycheck for 3 or 4 weeks total for somebody else. That was doing like healthcare call center, which was not fun. Went through like the 28 days of training, did like actual phone calls for like a day or two. It's like, nah, I'm making more doing the online thing anyway, and this is not fun.
Good for you, man. I don't know if I've ever heard a more Midwestern job outside of like dairy farming than a roof. What was the thing you were building? Roof troughs?
Trusses.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool,
Okay,
man.
it's like the peaks of roofs. So yeah.
Okay, maybe not as Midwestern as I thought, but we'll still say it sounds pretty Midwestern.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's great that your father gave you, kind of the blessing to just kind of explore and do something on your own instead of getting a quote unquote real job. That's pretty unique.
Still completed college and everything, but yeah. Don't know how much dividends that has paid off, but oh well.
Would you at least get like a business degree? So you can like put some of that stuff to use, or were you just some like poli-sci major or something random?
Majored in finance, minored in math. I was in a marketing and an entrepreneurship organization. In the entrepreneurship one, which was called CEO, Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, I was VP of finance for a couple of semesters in that stuff too. So I made some captain stuff, not that I've necessarily like utilized for what I've done, but
yeah,
it's kind of surprised that like the college, like that org never like reached out to alums like me to like come be a speaker or anything at their stuff, being that I'm a graduate of theirs and I like to think I'm doing okay, but
built your own successful business. Yeah.
So like reach out to them too, but I'm busy too. So,
So
Awesome.
are you still kind of the premier Pokemon proprietor in that area of Wisconsin?
I like to think so.
Yeah. I mean,
We could
I
be
would
the
have to
go-to
imagine
shop.
that you kind of set the blueprint and you said you did the market research and hours drive, you couldn't find anything. I'm sure that there were folks that tried to replicate what
There's definitely a
the
lot
game
more
capital
shops
was
that open
doing.
up in the last like 3 years in our area. So it's definitely gotten crowded, but we still do our thing.
You said you're in Green Bay or just outside Green Bay?
Just outside of Green Bay. West De Pere is the shop.
Okay. Nice.
It's
That's
like
awesome.
7 mile drive from Lambeau Field.
Nice, man. Yeah, I did a big road trip when I moved home a few years back, and I had never been to Green Bay. I have a bunch of family in Chicago, so spent a lot of time in Chicago, kind of southern Wisconsin, but never had made it that far north. And Green Bay is such a different place. It's the last place in the country that you would ever expect a successful NFL team to be. And it's just Lambeau Fields right in the middle of the neighborhood, and yeah, it's such a cool little town that's happening up in Green Bay, man. I'm sure
And they
it's
have built up what they call Titletown now, like across the street from Lambeau Field. So it's a little bit less neighbor-esque, but there's still different houses and stuff that, rent out as Airbnbs and stuff expensively on game days and have, viewing porches and stuff of the stadium facing it and all that kind of stuff. And playing houses where, they park cars on a lawn and nice little extra revenue each year.
Yeah, that was a big thing. I had, my brother-in-law is from Wisconsin now, and so they're out there, and we're all Eagles fans, and a bunch of them have gone out to some games with him, and they said, yeah, it's cool, instead of like, tailgating in like the parking lots, which is like you just pay someone like $5 or $10 and you park in their driveway and you just like drink beers in their driveway and they'll let you use their bathroom, and sometimes like they'll have like sandwiches out for you or something. So they're like, it's definitely a very different experience, but pretty little quirky as far as NFL tailgating goes, but it's really kind of cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So are you a Packers guy, Jeff?
I've gotten less and less into sports over the last few years because, again, time. Always like to think that sports is like an escape, but then get so worked up and angry watching sports and times. It's like, well, that's not what I want to get out of this. I got better things to do.
Yeah, my
Like
wife
this,
always
like
says she's
I
always
watched the first game or two because Jordan Love taking over. It's like, let's just see how that turns out. And then didn't watch like the middle, 10 to 12 games of the season at all. But and I got to watch, the first 3 plays of the Jets season because I want to see how Aaron Rodgers did. And I did laugh out loud at that. That's a terrible person, so be it. But
would. Did you see? I'm sure you heard about this, Jeff. But Ben, did you know about this? There's a bar in Wisconsin. I think it was outside. It was in Milwaukee or outside Milwaukee. They were doing a promotion where like if the Jets lost. This is like a Monday. The first game was like a Monday night game. So like the Jets lost, like everybody's bar tab would be free because they're like promote like one. It's like everybody to root against Aaron Rodgers, and so he goes out, gets injured like the first, like drive, and so everyone's going crazy because they're like, great, they're definitely going to lose now. So everybody's like drinking up the rest of the game, like getting like sky high bar tabs because like it's all going to be free. And then like the Jets like ended up coming back and like winning in overtime. And there's all these people were like dumbfounded and stuck with like hundreds of dollars of bar tabs that they weren't expecting to have to pay. That was pretty epic. I really like that story.
That's the kind of stuff. That's newsworthy headlines right there, man. That's the kind of stuff I want to hear. That's awesome.
I'm kind of surprised that Bar didn't like cut off the promotion is be like, oh well, everything up till now, if they end up losing, will be free, but anything they're here on after is just normal. But
Yeah.
I guess it worked out for the bar.
Yeah, right.
I'm guessing some of those guests had to, work in the kitchen for a couple hours afterwards or something.
Yeah, the video of it, like people were just like faces were stunned, like stunned. Like yeah, it was pretty hilarious, man.
Yeah, lesson learned to look for the fine print as long as Aaron Rodgers is playing, this wager stands. So let's talk about so for those of you that don't know, we've started running a bi-monthly, twice a month, non-town hall weeks battle royale. I was informed yesterday that we've never formally called it out on the show, so here is your formal announcement. Keep an eye out for that. We stream on YouTube. But we started talking about the new ranked system and kind of general sentiments and it feels like there's some pretty mixed reviews. So Jeff, I've run into you a handful of times. We continue to kind of butt heads in the modern meta. I'm curious, what is your take? How are you feeling about the new system? Have you noticed any significant changes? Is there something you like, don't like?
I think I've only gotten in 18 games of Modern so far this season, so I probably don't have a great read on that so far personally. Let's see. I think I'm 14-4 though, but I did start in Diamond 3, I want to say. And I'm in at 3230 rating right now. Yeah, 13 wins, 17 battles. So 13-4. Which is good enough for 312 rank overall.
Well, the witch hunters looking for battle helpers might be coming after you with a record like that, Jeff.
Like usually I get into I think I finished in Diamond 1. I meant to bump into Champ, but I like forgot to click to go into it before the season ended. I thought I did, but I apparently didn't because I would have started Champ 2 had I done that. So I'm playing below where I should be to start. So I wouldn't read too much into the strong record because I'm playing again lower than I should be. So assuming I play enough and get into Champ this season and start in mid Diamond 2 next season, then it'll be a better read of my skill.
Yeah, and hopefully at that point, I think most things that people are griping about now are hopefully going to be settled somewhat. I mean, ideally in the next season or two.
Yeah.
Hep, you talked a little bit about your experience thus far. Would you mind kind of rehashing for folks because you're a little bit of a different use case than the Diamond Champ guys?
Yeah, no, just because I was playing mostly in gold, and I think we had a sweet deal in gold. I think there was probably the fewest players were in gold, and we were getting, we had our own SBS pool, and I was pulling in 10, 11 SPS per win, typically always getting at least like 7 or 8. And it was really great. And yeah, so since then, it's kind of been just my number of wins has gone down, seeing a lot of max cards. The SPS I'm getting per battle is down to like 2 or 3. Sometimes I get bumped up to like 4 or 5 if, I have like, can use some gold foils and stuff like that. And, but yeah, so it's been kind of a rough go. I'm hoping that it does shake out a little bit more. I maxed out a couple Chaos Legion summoners, like the legendary summoners, like Wraith, Impossibilists, and Lily, but I just don't have that many maxed out cards. Most of my cards are just at gold. I do have a Lux, but yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm going, lots of times up against sort of max level cards, and it's making things a little more difficult. I think I've seen a lot of it. People who have like low ratings, even people with lower ratings than me, will be, max level cards. So I'm stuck in that like gold 2 area right now where it's like 2,300 and struggling to kind of get out. But I haven't been able to devote that much time to it either the last couple of days. So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. I think I'll give it a season or two to really judge it. But this is kind of the thing I was worried about was going to happen. I really liked the game, the fact that you could say, I want to be at this is the level I want to play at. This is the amount of money I want to spend on cards. I'm willing to spend on cards. This is kind of the level I want to play at. I want to be on a more level playing field with people who have the similar deck. And I really like that because I was very comfortable with spending the amount of money to have a gold deck and playing in gold and, playing, competitively in gold. And it's sort of that's part of the game I thought was really cool. And it's just gone, it's just gone. And I get that there was issues in leagues lower down where people were stuck in bronze or stuck in silver, and maybe they had gold level cards but couldn't get up into gold, or they had silver level decks and couldn't get out of bronze. But I think, there was other ways to go about fixing that problem, right? You could just let people choose which league they wanted to play in each season, and or change the way things get reset or drop down. I think there's other ways, but I know they wanted to do this. They wanted to try to convince people to buy more cards, and they wanted to make the players up in Diamond Champ happy and give them a bigger chunk of that SBS rewards pool to pull from than what they had. I know that was the big complaint for some people. So yeah, I get it. I kind of knew it's really going to be, probably some people are lower down will benefit from it maybe. The people higher up will definitely benefit from it, and the top 50 people in silver and bronze are really we're going to be the ones who, or sorry, silver and gold, we're probably really the people who are the ones facing the most negative effects on it. But we'll see how it goes. I'm interested to see. A lot of people I heard complaining that it's still really tough in bronze because you're going up against people with higher level cards than you normally see. But yeah, hopefully that shakes out soon, and after the season and then in the next season things will smooth out a little bit more.
I'm sure there'll always be like a player that comes back and is, playing out of bronze with a max deck here and there, but the percentage of times that lower level players encounter that should decrease over time, you would think and hope.
Yeah.
There'll never be there'll always be a non-zero amount, I would think. Someone making a second account that they're hopefully playing manually if they're in modern, obviously. And yeah.
Yeah.
My last battle got plus 40 rating with win streak, so went from 31.9 to 32.30 rating, got 10.5 SPS. The SPS boost is 12.41x, I have enough SPS. 10% win streak bonus, 20% focus cards, 30% gold cards, 10% alpha promo cards, 12% guild. So maybe the base is more like 4 or 5 SPS before bonuses and stuff in mid diamond for modern. But usually I was toward the top of diamond, like 8 to 12 SPS, I think is what I was usually getting. So seems to be about the same there, still maybe a little higher. I'm not sure people are still getting like champ right now. I know the first day, like the first like 6 to 10 hours, something like that, the earnings are really high while things like readjusted. Unfortunately, I was, busy working during that time. And when I got home, it was already not paying out the extra, but saw some people in the first few hours of the update were getting like 30 plus SPS already in low champ. It's like, oh, darn.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sweet little prize for a 2-minute battle. I saw some. I think it was Dehota on Twitter posted he hauled in something like 43, 44 SPS in one battle. Yeah, it's just insane.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping that I hear a lot what you're saying, Hep, and I have to agree that being able to dictate what league you're playing in feels like a really important decision that should be uh given to the players, right? Because we've seen guys like Yue and Schnepoon who are notorious for absolutely running the table in a league like Silver, and they've completely decided not to play anymore because they're just outgunned, and all of a sudden they're in over their heads in terms of what kind of investment they're willing to make and put into the game. And yeah, removing it'll be interesting to see how Yaba and Co kind of go about to counter the folks at the lower leagues that are potentially threatening to leave the game.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the thing is the guys like that. And so for me, like I never really had time. I think I could hit the leaderboard and I would get up there. Like I would have good runs and I would be top 10 in gold. I never finished the season there. Because I never just it seemed to never have the time at the end of the season to really devote to just like grinding that out. And but it was fun. It was fun to play that competitively and it was fun to get up there and it was fun to see that and it was fun to feel like I had a higher than 50 per 60% win rate and it's fun to feel like I'm doing this is a game I'm good at and it's constantly evolving. I'm constantly learning, constantly trying to get better. Um, but hearing Matt talk about how like, oh, what he wants to be able to do is this will be okay because everybody, will sort of get to the point where they're at a 50% win rate. And that's kind of where you'll equalize and stabilize. But there's people who like the competitive nature of it, and people like, Uwe, who, is so good in Silver and must love, that adrenaline of doing those matches when, you're up so high and you're trying to hit, first place or top 5 places or whatever and they don't want to be forced into the mediocrity of just having a 50% win rate. Like who some people don't want that. Like I don't know anybody who, would want that, right? Like it's like we're going to force you to if you're good enough at the game at your level or they're going to force you to play people who have better cards than you to the point where you just start to lose matches because you are outgunned. Like that's like a weird thing for the game, right? It takes away, yeah, it's kind of strange. Like I don't want to be forced into a 50% win rate, It's at that point, it's like, why wouldn't I just let, Xbot run my account in wild? SBS rewards are getting very close to the same for what I can get off that in wild and what I'm getting in gold. And like, yeah, it just becomes a point. If you're forcing people to have like a 50% win rate, then, you know, does it just then become a DeFi platform with the cards again, as opposed to a game of skill? I don't know. It's kind
yeah,
of, it's a little
the
frustrating right now.
the competitive nature getting removed is a really big piece. And I don't know if we heard that necessarily addressed on town halls or when we had Yaba on. I think we had a pretty in detailed discussion with Yaba around what this could and would look like, and you shared some kind of knee jerk reaction thoughts on yeah, maybe it was a little bit of an overreach, and maybe all that really needed to change in the first iteration was the adjustment of how rating points are distributed. Maybe that would have been enough. But we've seen Yaba happily go back to the drawing board and try and fix this thing. So we certainly haven't seen the end. I can say with a fairly high degree of confidence that this is not the end all be all. We're still going to see. I completely expect SPS across all of Modern to get a nice little hike once SPS gets removed from chests. All of that stuff's going to be purely pooled into the 50-50 split between Wild and Modern. So you might be seeing SPS back where you were a couple of weeks ago, but I think it will take some time.
Yeah, if or when they do take SPS out of chess, if that means, for each win for just the battle itself, you're getting, 25 SPS instead of 10 in mid diamond, that make it that much harder for me to not play. But
Yeah.
so far, if you look at peak monsters, it's not a drastic change, but since the change so far, the number of battles per day in modern is actually down a little bit, and the battles in wild is up a little bit. So I'm guessing there's some percentage, like I said, of like lower league players that have probably are possibly still playing, but instead of playing themselves, they've turned a bot on and walked away at least until the dust settles, perhaps. I mean, after
That's exactly what I've done.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I've
season
done.
or two, and all the max decks have gotten to their rightful place and stuff, then they can come back in and see how things are at.
Yeah. I mean, the flip side of the coin, we have seen, Jeff, I'm sure you keep a pretty keen eye on the rental markets and that sort of stuff, especially at the higher leagues. A lot of that stuff is completely evaporated, not just Rebellion. I think Rebellion, there's, like single copies of the higher league cards available for rents, but Chaos Legion is almost completely gone with at least compared to what it used to be. It's drastically been cut as a result of this stuff.
Yeah, proof of a lack of time and not doing what's best for ROI for myself. I think I took most of my stuff off of rentals in like January, February of last year when land was like supposed to be soon, wanting to like be ready to go kind of thing. And I've just since then like never properly got my cards back on rentals. I've semi recently got some of my better like extra stuff for Rebellion on rentals at least, namely like some extra Mantaroths and Grimbar and Smiths because I got a lot of those from pre-sale. Like max Mantaroth, I'm getting like 600 to 1,000 DEC per day when they're rented right now. Grimbar
Wow.
and Smith as well at max level, I think. So at least those are getting like 30 to 40% ROI, I think it is last I saw. But yeah, like when land first launched, I got 165 of my 1,000 plots for my region up and going, and I've basically not touched it since, even though I've like gotten a couple new titles since then that I've from different in-game stuff that I haven't even like swapped out for lower titles or put on plots because I keep wanting to like do it right, knowing there's like a 3-day cooldown, so I just don't do anything instead, which not the best way to go, but it's like, oh, I could just throw stuff on there and like get more earnings now, but then once I want to do it correctly, then I gotta wait 3 days, and then so it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I'm leaving plenty of rental revenue and plenty of earnings from land and stuff on the table that I should be capturing, but opportunity cost, time value of money, all that fun stuff that as much as I want to do that stuff, I just can't get around to it most of the time.
It's like sometimes you're like, oh, you only have a certain little bit of time during the day, and you're like, it's either organize your cards and stuff like that, or get some ranked battles in, and it's kind of hard not to just play the game a little bit. And then next thing a half hour is gone. You're like, all right, I got to get back to work.
Yeah, I feel like I've been telling myself like 6 to 12 months, like, oh, I'll reallocate my assets one of these days so I can like have different cards, different accounts and stuff. It's like at one point I kind of had where a couple of my alts have like not the same splinters and stuff, just to like try to maximize with less sort of thing. So like out of the 5 splinters plus dragon, I have maybe 3 or 4 splinters plus neutrals on a couple of the accounts. But now I have enough Chaos Legion stuff where like I could give all 6 of my accounts probably a maxed out regular foil Chaos Legion only deck at least, but I'll get around to it someday.
You need an asset manager, man.
Yeah.
Is I know you've done videos on other Web3 games. I'm kind of curious. Do you play any other games? Sounds like you're being short on time. And was Splinterlands kind of the first game you got into, or did you look at other games and then kind of come across Splinterlands?
Well, you want my Web3 history now? I can do that. That's an
We
easy
cover
one.
all the bases here, Jeff.
Well, I guess I'll just cover all of crypto for myself. I'll try not to be too detailed, but feel free to redirect me if you need to. I first learned of Bitcoin. I don't know what year. Bitcoin was about $25 a coin. And whenever that was, I threw $500 at it. I had like $250 of it in Mount Gox and $250 in Trade Hill. And given that trade is 24/7, like I had to like always watch it because I want to know what's happening. And I felt like it was going a little crazy. It's like I'm just gonna set these aside and not look at them for a while because it's not healthy to be watching the price constantly. And then however many months later, I circle back and it's like, oh, Trade Hill doesn't exist anymore. That's cool. So then I sold what was in Mount Gox, which is probably good because that had issues later on too. So long story short, I didn't make anything on that $500 Bitcoin investment. I lost probably in the end because half of it disappeared. In theory, I still own like 10 Bitcoin that was on Trade Hill at $25 a coin. So that'd be cool if I still had those. That's what, $650,000 now? That'd be cool to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I heard of crypto and stuff thereafter, but like I didn't really keep tabs on it. I know in CryptoKids was a thing, like I heard of that at one time or saw a couple articles, but like didn't look too deep into it. And then January of 2021 must have been, I saw a promoted tweet on Twitter. It was Twitter at the time for NBA Top Shot. It's like, oh, that sounds interesting. I make an account. Packs at that point were readily available. Like a week later, I caught in just before it like really, really spiked hard. But I bought 10 packs. They were $9 a pack, so $90. And the first 10 packs, I pulled a Lonzo ball, not Lonzo, LaMelo ball. I think that at the time was like $200. So it's like, oh, well, that's pretty good. Buy 10 more packs. I pulled like 2 LeBrons and a Durant and a few other things. It's like, oh, this is pretty good. And then I bought a bunch of packs that I still have. I still can't sell. They finally have a market to sell packs, but not any and all packs yet. So all the packs I have any quantity of, I still can't sell in there. And I assume I get more for the packs than if I open them at this point. But got a little deep into that. I ended up throwing $50,000 at it. And so that was mid-January of 2021. By sometime in February, my portfolio was allegedly worth $600,000. And I was literally Google searching what islands cost, thinking like, oh, this is going to be the Amazon of crypto. And it might like pull back 90%, but it's going to go way higher later. And then a pullback started happening. And then I doubled down to $100,000 investment. And now, not including my packs, I think my portfolio is worth like 15,000. I've taken maybe 15, 20,000 out. So it's down a little bit. But through that, I then learned of the Wax blockchain, namely when they had a drop coming out for Street Fighter packs. So even now, I'm still not very like crypto savvy as far as like, okay, if I want to buy this token, what's the quickest way for me to get from this money in my bank account to having that token wherever I need to get it? Still not good at that. Otherwise, I'd probably be a lot deeper in things now. So when they had drop, it's like, oh, I can buy these packs with my credit card. I can get some more money in the system here. That this is good. So got some Street Fighter packs. I think like $300 or something like that. I could pull it up if you want the exact numbers, but it's all in my spreadsheets. I keep pretty good track of that stuff. But probably ultimately didn't make money on the Street Fighter stuff, but it was just a way to get money into the system. And in Wax, the main things I ended up making money on, which is like my main win in probably all of crypto so far, was Our Planet. Do either of you play any Our Planet or anything on Wax?
I've never heard of that.
Did I play? Is that like the weird mining type of game? Was that Our Planet or was that something else?
You'd earn Aether.
I think that's, yeah, I think I played a little bit, like a little bit of that. Yeah.
They had like different elements and stuff. So you'd have to do different combinations, burying them to try to like invent new higher tier ones and stuff. And then once you do that, like once a new element or whatever is discovered, then the first 500 that crafted it will get an FT of it and you get a different rarity of it. There's a clip on my YouTube of that I posted that was a live stream on Twitch, but I posted as a YouTube video later on where I was claiming my gold NFT and I got a legendary rarity, which I think at the time the production it made, if it lasted for a year, which I knew it wouldn't, but if I could make that earnings for a full year, it would have been like 6-figure pull for an annual return on that one pull.
Wow.
So I know at one point my Aether production at the value it was at one point in time was $1 million annualized. But like
Wow,
I
man.
was at least smart with that one where it's like, this is not sustainable. This sounds awesome that, oh, I can make $1 million over the next 365 days at these current prices. That's not going to be sustainable. So I was converting my Aether to wax hand over fist. And then so that like May, June, July was like the main heyday for that for me before it like really downturned. And now kind of connecting all the way here. Well, I actually learned of Splinterlands through the Wax blockchain because they bridged to Wax, I believe, and they were doing some of the land. They were selling some of the land on there at some discounts and stuff. Did my first research on Splinterlands then. I was like, oh, this land sounds cool. Because as you know, a game store owner, the concept of having land where I can, essentially be a card manufacturer was really appealing to me. That's why I ended up getting land, which I'll get to. But my research there showed like, oh, there was kind of a spike in players when COVID started. But it looked like kind of leveled out, wasn't really growing. So time value of money. I was like, well, I'm going to not buy the land right now because it's not going to be out until, Q4 of this year. So I didn't want to buy it until it was closer to release, ideally. So I didn't buy it during the Wax pre-sale or however they phrased it. But that's how I learned of Splinterlands in the first place. And then when I started playing Splinterlands, I was trying to do like free to play at first, which was a really annoying grind because back then, like you'd get like one chest in a day. And if I didn't get a card to grow my collection power to possibly unlock like bronze 3 or bronze 2, like it just felt like a waste or whatever. But then I feel like I never pronounced her name right, but the user Maria and Amelia or something like that, they were doing tournaments hosting, and I entered one of those, and I happened to do well enough where I got an Untamed pack, and in that Untamed pack, I got a gold foil epic, which was like, what, 10,000 clutch power or something? So I instantly unlocked like the next couple of league tiers, which then opened the floodgates for me to like experience higher level of play and then start buying more things, and that really got the ball rolling there. So big shout out to them. If not for that tournament and getting that gold epic in that pack, I don't know if I would have gotten in as deep as early as I did in Splinterlands. So that definitely worked out. Then connecting the two, our planet and Splinterlands. So again, I was selling my Aether as I was producing it for Wax. And then when Splinterlands, they had Untamed packs, $2 each. Well, $2 of DC or 2,000 DC, whatever. And they also had the land available. And then I want to say it was like July 8th, 9th, something like that of 2021. I looked, I was like, oh, there are 1,500 land plots left. I then converted my Wax into credits in Splinterlands, bought my land region when there was like 1,500 plots left. So I believe I got the last possible land region because after I bought, there was less than 1,000 plots left. And then I might have the two flip-flopped, but I think it was then the very next day, Untamed packs were like down to the last bit. Converted some more Wax into credits, and I bought 3,000 Untamed packs, which came with 450 bonus packs. I still have over 1,000 Untamed packs as well. So
you still have over 1,000 Untamed packs?
Yeah.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, I've sold a little here and there over time, like when orders get hit on Hive Engine and stuff like that, but never find like a way to sell a good quantity of them at like fair market value. And now they're basically as cheap as they've been since not that long after I acquired them. I think a semi price sold for like $50+ at least. I think at the time Hive was over $1 still, so it's all relative and stuff. But
yeah, what are they going for now? Just sorry, not to interrupt, but just
10-ish.
Okay,
on a good day.
I remember I bought like one or two, and they were like
on
25 or 30 or something.
Yeah, I think the non-car market, last I saw, was cheapest like 10.45, and on Hive Engine, depending on the price of Hive, it fluctuates a bit, but the low ask is usually around $10 to $12. But there's not usually much depth on the bid side. Like last I saw, the highest bid was $5 or $6. Like, well. So yeah, if anyone ever wants a bunch of Untamed packs for, closer to market value, not a massive discount, I'd love to move some just to, be able to do some other stuff within the ecosystem. But yeah.
Jeff's your guy. So when you entered into the kind of the gameplay side of Splinterlands, did you did the collector in you see all the alpha beta stuff and be like, oh, I gotta get after that stuff as well? Or did you kind of hear whispers of Chaos Legion coming and that was kind of
I think I
earmarked as
wanted
your
some of the
main
older
on ramp?
stuff just to like complete my deck. I never really went on my way to like get any of it. Although I did also using some R Planet assets. Don't remember the user. Probably better that I don't, and they probably don't want to know anymore because I don't know if they still play Splinterlands, but trade somebody some R Planet assets at basically R Planet's peak for a lot of like beta and untamed stuff I didn't have. So I've got like a level 4 Prince Renan, a level 3 Valnamore, um, level 4 Plato, level 4 Hydra. So most of the stuff I have that's from pre-untamed especially came from that trade, which even though the Splinterlands stuff is down from the peak, like I think it's still higher than it was when I trade for it. And whatever art plan stuff I gave up is definitely worth less now than it was then. So that trade definitely worked out well for me as well. It's like butterfly effect wise, even though I basically, lost my shirt on Top Shot and some other stuff in between, like, well, if I didn't see that promoted tweet on Twitter for Top Shot, then I don't get into Top Shot. I probably don't learn the Wax blockchain. I don't get into our planet. I don't learn of Splinterlands because they had the bridge with Wax. So like, if I don't lose all that money on Top Shot, I may still not know that Splinterlands even exists. So butterfly effect, it was all worth it, I think.
Way to look at silver linings there, Jeff. $100,000 entrance into Splinterlands, man. That's the short of it.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. So that's definitely a kind of a long road you took there. But so did you kind of like did you max out an Untamed deck and with all those packs, and have you kind of been, did you sell a bunch of those cards, any of those cards at the peak when prices really spiked before Chaos Legion came out?
I don't remember how many packs opened for sure. I feel like I opened like 1,000 of the Untamed packs. I can probably look back at my like all those videos on my channel, and because I should have them all documented because I opened them on live streams and would post the live later on. Like I remember also from Osmare Dice, or if you pronounce Asmir, Osmar, I'm not sure. But I know I pulled the gold Mimosa. What's her name? The 1-cost death card. Pulled the gold foil of her, which I think at the time there was like 14 in circulation, and like there was none listed or the last sold, or the only one listed was like 1,000 or thousands. And so I know that was like my most wild feeling pull at the time, I think. Never pulled a gold foil Kitty or Yodin though. So however many packs of Untamed I did open, I didn't get those. Although I think on one of my pack openings, like opening 200 packs at a time, I think one of my card flips was 3 Yodins or 3 Kitties. I think. Don't remember for sure, but unless that was like on the test server or something, I'm remembering as truth. But either way. Although I think when I did open some Untamed on test server once, I think then in one batch, I think I got like 3 Yodins and a gold Yodin. It's like, oh, why couldn't that be real?
Yeah, right.
I'm pretty sure I got 3 Kitties or 3 Yodins in a single flip for real. Pretty sure.
You think you would have sold a gold foil Yodin or Kitty, or would the collector and you kind of wanted to hold on to it, play with
Given
it in
that
tournaments or brawls?
as not amazing as I think I actually am, like I always want to be able to feel competitive in like the gold foil only tournaments and be able to feel like the gold foil only phrase in my guild and stuff like that. So probably not.
Yeah.
It's like every so often, like when I saw like a gold kitty the other day for like 1250, it's like, that's kind of cheap where it's usually at, or like just not even available. But like I can never get myself to push the button either. But I'm tempted plenty by that. Like when I see like gold Lux on the market for like 2,500, it's like that could do some stuff. And like, and then once they do sell, it's like, oh, I should have bought it. But because I think there was some gold Yodins on the market for under 1,000 at BCX within the last few weeks. I think now the only one listed like 8,000 or something like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I keep telling myself like one way or another, I want to reduce how much I have like value wise of cards so I can like do other stuff, not necessarily outside of Splinterlands, just again, like look at ROI and stuff, and just knowing that I don't have the time to like properly do rentals and everything else, like I shouldn't be sitting on all the cards I do. Even if I want I get all my land properly working, the spreadsheets I have all basically tell me like I don't want to use regular foils on them, just the expected ROIs that I calculated for regular foils versus gold foils. Like if I have the regular foils and better off renting them than put them on land for what my numbers tell me. Not being able to put like an actual dollar value in like research points, for instance, but
So is that how you've kind of been approaching? Well, prior to Rebellion dropping, was that your kind of longer term plan? Was to keep all these, previous generation wild cards, kind of pinpointed for eventual service on land? Is that why you're continuing to hold these assets?
I go back and forth. Like knowing what they were worth before, like it's that much harder to sell now. Like I don't want to sell and be like, oh, that was the bottom. So always kind of second guessing in that way. And plus, just between guild phrase and stuff where like I always feel the necessity to fill as many phrases as I can, just like so that the guild as a whole fills them all. So like right now, if we were playing tier 4, I'm usually filling 4 or 5 phrase myself. We dropped down to tier 3 for a bit up until a couple of brawls ago, and I only had to do like 2 brawls then because there's less phrase to fill. But so sometimes I feel like having a guild is a detriment to myself. Where like, oh, I need to keep these gold cards so I can be competitive in these phrase and to fill these and all that other stuff. But
Yeah, 6 phrase. That's a lot of work, man. I
yeah,
play 2 phrase between my main and my alt account, and that feels like a lot of work sometimes.
like it always feels
6
like a good
phrase.
idea, and it's like, oh, brawls in 3 hours. I gotta do how many battles?
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
especially when you're going back and forth and like it's not easy to remember like what gladiator cards are on what accounts and stuff and that too. And trying I still need to open more Gladius cases now that I can buy potions with merit since they did that update. Cause I was just kind of sitting on my merits for a while. I did a couple of larger openings maybe a couple months ago or so, but never used up all my merits because once I heard that they were gonna bring back the option to buy potions with merits, like, oh, well, I should wait for that so I can actually get potions. And because for DEC, I didn't like the ROI aspect or like the cost value proposition of it. But for merits, it's more approachable for me. So now I got to actually burn up on my merits and a bunch of packs because my main account doesn't even have a gold Controllable Gobson or a Quora. So anytime I'm doing gold foil only phrase with that account, and or I'm in a gold foil only tournament and gladiators are playable, it's like, oh, I start going Earth, it's like, oh, there's no Quora. Or Control even? Darn. Don't you have Crash? No, I got Crash. I've Helmet Carafact for life. I don't have on the main account in gold foil either. And I love using that one now with weapons training and stuff. So I definitely need to get more open on my main account and hopefully pull a couple of key gold foil gladiators I like using in different scenarios.
Yeah, I pulled a gold foil core on my main I think a month or 2 months back, but yeah, I'm not in gold foil brawls anymore, and so I just don't know. I don't use them. Like, are these, should I save this and hold on to this in case it's ever going to get unlocked and be able to sell it, or should I just burn it for the DC? I don't know. It's kind
I
of
know After Sound just burned, I don't know if it was all of his gold foils or not, but because the team in the last town hall too is saying like we didn't do it yet, but soon you won't be able to burn for DC, you'll burn for merits instead for gladiator cards.
interesting.
So if anyone doesn't know, if you really want to burn Aver Gladiator cards and you want to get
Yeah.
DC, the time is ticking, and I don't know if it'll be the next maintenance window or when exactly, but if you wait too long, you will only be able to burn for merits. I'm not saying if it's good or bad to burn gold cards for the DC, because who knows if and when we can unlock and what those cards will sell for if and when we can, but yeah.
Yeah, because when you burn it, it's just like you get the card power, right?
Yeah. So
Like
gold foil
cores
legendary is 50,000, epic's 10,000,
10,000,
rare is 1,000,
5 or
2,000, like
2,000, yeah,
2,000, and common's
2,000,
500.
500. Okay.
So
Yeah,
50
so
cents, $2, $10,
dollars.
$50 at peg.
I think they did announce that it's going to be because right now it's 1-to-1, right? So CP is 50K on a gold foil legendary, you get 50K DEC, and I think they announced that it's going to be a 1-to-1 for merits, which kind of feels like a a good deal. My initial reaction was I started burning my gold foil gladiators months ago. I'm holding on to. I've got one BCX of a gold foil Cora. Hope with my fingers crossed that eventually we get to sell those things, because there's no way that thing's going to go for face value. But it feels like actually burning for 1-to-1 collection power to merits might actually be the better deal.
It all depends
You
on
know,
your play style and stuff too, and how important gladiators are to you and your play style as well. I haven't done any like
sure.
kind of math to try to figure out like just broad sense if one is clearly better than the other, but
Yeah.
I'm really not interested in burning my gold cards anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like core at 10,000. That's I'll run. I'll hold on to that just in case. Because yeah, that's like you said. If there is going to be a time where we can unlock those or do something with them, that one will definitely be worth more than that. I mean, also too, these are like the first kind of gladiator cards, right? Like these are the original gladiator card set. Who knows in the future if they come out with new gladiator cards, like what these look like. If we'll be able to unlock them then, if people will want them then, when you're not able to get them, what the demand could be then. So yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I've gotten
And
gold core on one account, like what was a main alt that's basically become like my gold foil alt, mainly because it has a gold core and kind of build around that. And soulbound card wise, I still have to give that account more life cards because it actually has Iziar and Ava Sturgis at like level 3 or level 4 in gold foil. It's two of the, I think, 3 different gold foil legendaries it has for soulbound. So it's like,
Wow.
it should
Yeah.
probably have more life support on this account since it's got the soulbound cards for life and other accounts don't. And then I'm in a gold foil and turn my main account. It's like, oh yeah, weapons train, and oh, there's no Ava Sturgis on this account. Crud. I definitely need some more gold foil legendary weapons trainers on the main account.
Do you think if those cards become unlockable, would you sort of pay that cost just to be able to transfer them to yourself to consolidate?
Probably not. I probably more likely just to buy more of them on the market depending on the price, but then pay just to transfer them. But it's hard to say until actually know what the numbers actually end up being. But
Hmm.
but on my account, I did just on I think it was on the end of season, finally got gold foil Kula Mastermind. 3 of them.
Oh wow, nice.
bingo.
Like I was stuck on level 1 Kulu on like all my accounts, if any BCX and all of them for the longest time, and they finally started showing up within the last couple months. I think I got it maxed out in regular foil on one account. And then I was saying like, okay, now the main account. Now if I could get it maxed out on here or get my first ever gold one, that'd be great. And then sure enough, I got 3 BCX, which can be seen in my latest upload, which is like a once a week occurrence these days. But
Yeah, I feel like it took me 8 months to get the mastermind. It was like the one that was definitely eluding me the most, and I haven't been able to pull any gold fold or pull that many BCX of it. I think I do have it at level 2 now, but yes, they started to come in finally. But that was like one card that was driving me crazy because be up against it all the time, and it would just be so frustrating because I don't have it, and it was just beating the pants off me all the time, left and right. So, but I feel like
especially on
then once
like
Rebellion came out, it's good, but yeah, using some of the other weapon training stuff instead. I don't know. I guess I don't use it as much now as I used to. So
I feel like I'm reaching for it more and more now that I actually have it leveled up and now in gold foil too. So now anytime I'm like in the gold foil only tournaments and it's like you face somebody, it's like, oh, well, they have the Kula. Well, of course I didn't win. I didn't have the option for that.
yeah,
So I definitely understand how that can be. And I know Stever too for the longest time. Like I don't think he had any Kulu or just really low level. I think he finally got, I'm not sure if he got maxed out or what now, but finally started showing for him too, not too long ago, I think. So
yeah. I remember talking with him, and he's saying he has like 30 Izziars and no Kulus.
I had quite the run of getting barracks the other, like for a few seasons. I think I have 24 regular foils now. And like Tracious
24,
Falk was the
wow.
one I got all of early on, which was like the last one I wanted to get. But that was the first one I had max in gold foil and regular foil. I don't think I ever leveled up for regular foil because no need to, because I got the gold foils early enough. But I feel like I never ever play that card. I have seen it used against me once or twice though, and they actually succeeded with it. Where I think they put in the back line, and I think maybe they could attack from anywhere. Just kind of absorbed enough stuff with triages and stuff too. So it survived long enough that it did serve a purpose and help them. But it's definitely situational, and I haven't reached for it hardly ever, if ever.
Yeah, that's one card I don't think I've ever seen and or played, and it's fortunately
is this?
it's the green taunt, the Teresa's
Oh yeah, yeah.
Teresa's
same.
Hulk.
Yeah,
And
Max, I think it's got taunt, demoralize, hits for 6.
It's got magic armor, void armor, also. But I feel like if you find yourself reaching for Earth, the opponent's probably thinking Immortalis as well, which this guy's he's just sitting duck. And Slip Spawn is such a great taunt. It's tough to choose this guy over the Slip Spawn. So Jeff, I'm curious when when Chaos Legion dropped, what was your kind of plan of attack for, were you thinking longer term in terms of your approach to purchasing packs of Chaos Legion with the, kind of your Pokemon mentality coming into play there, where, thinking maybe 2 years down the line when these cards are maybe shifting out of the meta or shifting out of, at that point in time, we didn't have Modern and Wild, but I believe that was in talks, so you could kind of see the writing on the wall that it was coming at some point. So was that kind of your game plan, was entering into the Chaos Legion era with the plan of kind of self-sustaining from there by selling off assets?
I think at the release of Chaos Legion, I just wanted to update my deck and stay competitive in that. In retrospect, I don't remember the exact details, but I know vouchers got stupid expensive, and I'm sure all of us that bought Chaos Legion in the pre-sale really lost a ton in the end. Like got Dr. Blights and stuff like that, but not worth enough to offset the ridiculous voucher prices. I think vouchers were like $15 or more or something like that. I think I've got a
That's
spreadsheet. I'm just
crazy.
gonna pull out real quick here because
You
I
know,
think I
that's
have
what I
in
got started
Hive
kind of
terms, but
in the game then, and I was like, oh, trying to look at vouchers, like, oh yeah, they're way too expensive. Oh, how do you get vouchers? I get some stuff. Like I'll get some SPS and staked it, and I bought what I thought was like a decent amount, but then like I was like, all right, it comes out every 24 hours, I'll get it. I'm like, let me see, how much, how many vouchers am I going to get in the first day? And it was like 0.015 or something like that. I was like,
You got 15 cents, Hep.
what is going on here? And then yeah, then
well, it looks like I
I was
did
like
my
talking to
best
people and they're like,
to
just wait.
reduce my average cost, but for my record keeping here, my first transaction for vouchers, I sold 50 vouchers October 18th, 2021, 29.43 Hive each. I'm not sure
And at
how it
that
was
point,
worth at the
Hive
time,
was,
but Hive might have been over $1 at the time.
Yeah, I was
So,
about to say, yeah.
wow.
and then one day later, I then bought 50 vouchers for 25.5 on Hive. So I netted 195 Hive to the good. And then I bought 9.7 and sold 9.7 that day. Made another 42 Hive. And so, but yeah, it was looks like over 20 Hive through November 8th. November 24th, it was about 15 Hive. And last I did was November 24th, 21. I bought for 15 Hive each. Looks like I became a net buyer after a while. So, and then didn't have any transactions with vouchers until October of 23 when it was 0.11 Hive. So, yeah.
Well, Keys has acknowledged on more than one occasion your the legend of Jeff Opens Cards spreadsheets, and I think you just did a good job of bringing that to life for us, Jeff. Thanks for that, man.
Oh, yeah. And similarly, same day, October 18th, 21, I sold 10 Untamed packs for 74.98 Hive each. So, and got as much as 103 Hive November 14th of 21.
Wow.
Selling 4 packs for 102.99 Hive. If
Jeez.
only I could have sold more then.
Man, no
That's
wonder you don't
crazy.
have enough time in the day. You're keeping all these meticulous records. If you just didn't make so many spreadsheets, you'd have more time to play games.
Well, I'm a numbers guy.
So I'm curious, Jeff, when you're kind of looking at the world of Splinterlands, and we talked to Dave a couple of weeks ago, and he likened Splinterlands to still very much being, we're still wearing diapers in the grand scheme of things, in terms of where we're, aspiring to take this community, take this game, take the economy. You're obviously a very seasoned vet when it comes to Pokemon. Is there anything that you would kind of like to see from the Pokemon universe be translated into, maybe the Web3 aspect, and in particular within Splinterlands?
Well, the main thing that appealed to for me for Splinterlands is just like for all Web3 is owning your assets, because Pokemon launched their first online trading card game platform with like codes in the packs when Black and White base set came out, which I believe is 2011. And I remember when that came out, since I was already selling online, it's like, ooh, there's be codes in the packs now. Oh, so that's like an extra revenue stream. Oh, but if I redeem the codes, I don't own the cards, and it's against terms of service to sell the cards. And like that was just a major letdown for me. And even more recently, when they launched, they replaced Pokemon Trading Card Game Online with Pokemon Trading Card Game Live. I was like, I was disappointed that they didn't replace the old version with like an NFT version, even though the general public is still very anti all of that. It's like in my Discord for my business too, when they just now on Pokemon Day about a week ago announced upcoming Pokemon Pocket, which is going to be a more simplified version of the card game on the app, where you get like 2 free packs a day that on your phone you can like swipe the top of the pack to like rip it open and get your cards and just get your dopamine hit of 2 packs a day for free. But they'll also have, their own in-game currency server probably that, you can buy like most mobile app games and stuff like that. So I'm sure that app is going to generate them plenty of revenue. But my Discord was like, oh, are these NFTs? I hope these aren't NFTs. This has NFT vibes. I don't like this. That's like, I think I tweeted out some screenshots of what my Discord was saying, and just like, yep, we're still early in this crypto thing, because this is how like the core Pokemon fan base is still thinking of crypto, or just the worst thing ever. So,
And even when they're giving it to you for free, it's like, here's some free. Even if they were NFTs, it's like, we're giving them to you for free, but people are still like, I don't want to get involved in this.
Yeah, I think just like a lot of the normies, or whatever you want to say, basically still picture NFTs as, just the profile pictures, and don't consider like any utility for anything. Just because some people in my Discord will sure joke like, oh, what's that NFT you got? Oh, I just screenshot it. Now it's mine. So people are still making those jokes too, where it's like, well, before long, like you're going to have, mortgages and stuff like that on the blockchain and all that. So like one way or another, everyone's making fun of crypto now, like they're gonna be using crypto blockchain stuff down the line and not even realize it probably. Yeah. So I'm too old to remember how it was when like the internet was booming, but we've had these cycles before where my internet, that's it. Why would I email someone? I can just write them a letter. Why do I need to send them an electronic? What is that? Because I think I saw a clip the other day of Bill Gates on Letterman or something trying to explain the internet, and everyone just laughing in the crowd like, haha, what's this internet thing? This is stupid.
What's this nerd talking about?
So it takes the masses a while to catch on to what the future actually is sometimes. So we're still early. We're still early.
Yeah, I feel like with it's interesting that, not even a huge name in the gaming world like Pokemon, when they release free NFTs, still can't, start to shift the tide. I wonder if it's going to take.
They're not actually NFTs, so. But
well,
people in my Discord were like, we're hoping that they weren't, but they were getting like NFT vibes from it. So.
Right. Yeah, but I wonder if it's going to take something more along the lines of what you just mentioned, like mortgages, I think, degrees, some of that very valuable paperwork, to move into the crypto space for folks to really see the true value of what crypto offers for these bigger mainstream games to be fully accepted as crypto based, blockchain based.
Yeah, if I had more tech savvy myself, like I had what I guess was a decent idea a few years ago that ended up being utilized on the Wax blockchain. I was like, oh, that was my idea. where I think they called them virals, virtual in real life. First out with Funkos on wax, where like you get the NFT and like it configures to like a real life one that you can like redeem to get the physical pop. Because before that happened, I had the idea like, oh, if I had like the know-how and like the warehouse space, like I like to invest in Lego sets as well, but they're always just a pain to warehouse and to like actually pack and ship come time to sell it. So like I had the idea before I saw the Funko stuff. I was like, oh, it'd be cool if I could like sell someone an NFT that gives them the right to this Lego set, and like we just warehouse it, and then they can transfer the ownership. We collect a percentage of like the sale if they change owners, and then whoever owns the NFT, they can at some point choose to burn the NFT, and then we then send them the physical Lego set. So
Interesting.
I don't know if that's anything that anyone's doing on scale or anything. Maybe that's somebody's got try to get copyright or something, but you know, that's just one idea I had where if I had the know-how and the space and stuff, like, oh, if I wanted to be a warehousing company and I had the technical knowledge to make it happen, that could probably be something. Could probably do something with, you know, Pokemon singles too. Like there's one grading company that we have a partnership with as a business now to AGS, where they use AI basically to like they scan the cards and stuff for grading, so it's not human graded. It's like there's a QR code on the back of the slab where you can actually pull up on your phone and be like, oh, here's the scan that almost looks like an X-ray basically for a trading card. Where it's like, yeah, there's like this groove and this dent and like this smudge, and like so you can see firsthand exactly how and why it got the grade it did. So like could easily, if I have, you know, those graded cards, make an NFT like form that like is connected to that asset where, oh, if you want to buy this card, you can. And here's the NFT. If you want the physical card, burn the NFT and it gets shipped to you. If you want to sell the card, you don't have to possess it. You can just, you know, change hands very easily and seamlessly without having to ship and having that extra headache.
That's brilliant,
Like,
man. Is nobody doing that?
well, I said like there's some virals, virtual real life type NFTs, but I don't think there's any like businesses that are built on like selling NFTs with, you know, the product backing it.
Yeah, I really like that idea. I feel like, you know, like Hep mentioned the you know, sports cards collections from the early 90s. I was big into collecting baseball cards from that was a lot of my youth, and I would, you know, it was certainly very cool having the physical aspect, and you know, I would write letters to my favorite baseball players and like stick a card in the mail. And shout out to my boy Greg Maddox. He was one of the few big guys that actually took the time to yeah, I see you Phillies fans giving me the thumbs down. Man, that Braves team in the mid 90s was just filthy, dude. But Greg Maddox actually took the time to write me a letter back, signed the card, sent me a bunch of Braves memorabilia. I actually sent him a Cubs card from Greg Maddox days. But yeah, being able to like, you know, get that stuff graded and authenticated and that sort of stuff and keep it somewhere safe and secure, and being able to transfer ownership through something like what you're talking about would be I feel like there's a lot of value there, man. That's a brilliant idea.
If anyone knows the technical aspect of it, I can come up with like the physical Lego and Pokemon type stuff and maybe make something happen. But yeah. I think I've had that idea initially because like as an investor in Lego sets, I always thought like, oh, wish Lego was just like, you know, stocks where like, oh, let me buy X number of shares of this Lego set. And then when I want to sell it, just sell the shares. It's like, oh, crypto can do that. Blockchain can do that.
So is that a good business too? I mean, does Lego come out with just limited release sets that are good if you buy them up and then people look for them later? They're not sold through Lego and they have to get them on the secondary market and you can mark them up?
There's always exceptions, but most Lego sets retire within, say, 12 to 30 months of release, sometimes a little less, sometimes longer. One set that I thought would be really good just keeps having the retirement date pushed back year after year after year. I think it released in like 2017 or 2015 and just won't retire. Mighty Dinosaurs, Lego Creator 3-in-1 set, it's like $15 MSRP. Where like when it was like in year 2 or year 3, it's like, oh, once it retires, it's going to go up to like $50. I should get like a pallet of it. Luckily, I never did because it's still not retired. But there's like a similar set that was like red colored dinosaurs that was similar price point that went from 12 or 15 to 50 to like $100 or $200 in a few years, where it's like, oh,
Wow.
that's a pretty good comp. This should do similarly. It's often like top 100 seller of all toys and games on Amazon. So like, even though it's been out for so long, it still gets really good sales. So it'll probably still go up once it does retire, assuming it does eventually. That's like the main exception to the rule. Like usually, unless it's like a really big, like $400+ Lego store exclusive set, some of those have multi-year print runs. But a typical $15 set, 3 years is usually the absolute max. And that set just refuses to retire.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never really thought of that. I mean, yeah, I feel like I did a lot of Lego growing up as a kid, and my daughters, my oldest is like 4, almost 5, and we've done some stuff with her, but they're like the sets are expensive. Some like even have to get them at a Target, it's like 40-50 bucks for like a basic small set. I was like, this is kind of crazy. I don't remember them being like that, but because I had some big ones like pirate ship ones and knights and castles and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool to get her. And yeah, looking at those and they're like, a couple $100 a pop. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, ships, castles, dragons, some of the main things that usually age pretty well.
Mm.
I remember when I was a kid getting just like a bucket of Lego. Like there's no map. There's no instructions. It's just like, here you go. And I had the same thing just for myself. I still enjoy putting stuff together and walking in there looking at like, I don't know, maybe the Death Star or like, they do like the Lego architecture so you can get like a small scale Taj Mahal or something like that. Those prices are just absurd, man. Like well into the hundreds of dollars. I do not remember. We were definitely not wealthy enough when I was a kid to be getting that stuff, but somehow it ended up at the house. We had the pirate ships and the castles, and yeah, their price point must have changed over the years.
This was last weekend in our store. I think we sold a $500 Harry Potter set.
Wow.
They don't fly, but they move now and then.
That's interesting. Yeah, there was I think it was in the Washington Post. There was just an article about a guy in DC who just gets, not Lego sets, but just gets like the individual pieces, and then has been creating like replicas of all like the monuments and the Smithsonian museums and stuff like that with the Lego. So I'm like, that's pretty impressive to just kind of, go off the cuff and just kind of build that stuff out. So
There's some crazy stuff I see people make with Lego. Like I've seen someone's like YouTube shorts now and then where they're just doing really creative, wonky things with Lego that you wouldn't think possible, but many people are much more creative than I am with that. So
maybe they just have more time.
That too.
They're not making spreadsheets, Jeff. That's what it is. Man, I feel like that's that would be a shoe-in for an NFT based business. Like I'll document the instructions for this, seal it up as an NFT. What pieces do you need? You can just buy I don't even know if Lego still sells the bucket of Legos.
The Lego Classic is like the main line where it's more so like here's a bunch of pieces kind of thing. Sounds like Black Friday at Walmart, they have a big bin of just like here's a bunch of Lego kind of thing.
But it feels like I don't know if you guys heard, but it might have been during COVID. Minecraft map NFTs became a really big selling item for folks that invested hours and hours into Minecraft. They build this incredible world, and then they're able to somehow capture this world in NFT form and deliver it to this kind of feels like where the physical world meets that sort of approach from Minecraft. So yeah, it's cool, man. You should start scouring TikTok for these $1 million business ideas, Jeff, and pitch them. Don't tell them you don't have the technical prowess, though. Tell them you got everything covered. So back on Splinterlands, gents, what's it's been a wild couple of months. We've got a pretty, I don't want to say quiet, but a pretty straightforward objective for the rest of 2024. User experience is really the name of the game. We've heard it time and time again. I was looking at, shout out to Gold Matters, dude. I can't imagine what his stock of photos on his iCloud looks like. That guy's got every single thing screenshotted, and He's got a photo, an image, a video for absolutely everything, and it's really cool to see him pull stuff out of the woodwork and kind of shout out times of the past and have notes associated with it. But he'll occasionally post battles from the first couple of years of Splinterlands, and not a whole lot has changed. So I feel like at this point, any incremental change is going to be positively received for the most part. But thinking about all that's kind of under the umbrella of user experience, Jeff, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on, what's going to move the needle for Splinterlands the most. And have you had, I think I've seen you post photos of your shop. You've got the Splinterlands big Chaos Legion promo poster in your window, or
I have the PDF of it, but it's not actually in the shop.
Got you. Okay.
Like I want to, but at the same time, knowing the current public perception of NFTs, I don't want to like have people boycott the shop because we're promoting something that's on the blockchain or something either. So it's a tricky conflict of interest that I want.
Jeff sells monkey images.
Huh?
Jeff sells monkey images. Stay away. Give away free cheese curds with every spellbook purchase, bro. That's the way you get your way into the people's hearts.
Well, I guess Splinterfest, they were showing off like some kind of like physical card game type thing for Splinterlands 2 and like some of the minifigures and stuff that they were figuring out. So like I was hoping there'd be some kind of physical stuff that I could have in the shop at least, so it's not like as blatantly like, hey, here's an NFT thing that I'm pushing on you. Plus, being that we sell physical cards in shop, like it's kind of awkward to be like, hey, you should buy these virtual things that, again, like if they had a better like referral program and stuff too, then I have more incentive to. But as it is, like, well, if someone signs up, I'll get what, 50 cents from when they buy a spell book. And then after that, like if they buy potions, maybe a little bit. If they buy, I guess, rebellion packs like DEC, but just the potential return is extremely limited with the current referral program. I know that's something I've seen like Bulldog and others advocating that like needs a revamp, just to give people more incentive to be pushing it as well. It's like it'd be kind of dumb for me, like, oh, hey, this person spends X amount a month on Pokemon cards, but now I got them in Splinterlands instead, and now they're spending on Splinterlands, and maybe I'm gonna get $5 a month from my referral stuff from getting them to play Splinterlands instead of Pokemon or something like that. So
yeah, sure.
It's an awkward like conflict of interest between my personal dealings with Splinterlands stuff and the business.
So have you considered what with obviously we've talked about it before, the user experience is a massive umbrella. Is there kind of one or two things that you're looking forward to most with what that could mean?
I say just overall easier is better. Like I said before, me personally, like still a noob when it comes to I have this money, I want this crypto thing. How do I get from A to B? So like with Splinterlands, the fact that I can buy credits with a credit card or PayPal or whatever, like that's a big plus. They've talked about even like the one-click rentals. It's like just anything to make it so that the everyday person can play Splinterlands and understand what they're doing without going through extra hoops and figure out Hive engine and anything else will definitely be a positive. One thing that like it's a positive and negative depending on how you look at is like the staked SPS requirements. Because like it's good because that means as more players on board and want to earn multiples at like higher ratings, that's a lot more SPS that like has to be absorbed and staked, and that will like push the price higher. But at the same time, that's like extra barrier to entry that people are playing Pokemon and Magic right now that maybe want to play Splinterlands. That's just be an extra confusing thing for them to figure out. So I guess anything they can figure out to like just make it as convenient and close to one click as possible. Like do this little thing, you now have cards you can use via one-click rentals. Do this one little thing, you now magically have enough SPS where you're getting these multiples or whatever. Like, I just feel like a lot of people, like, if you're gonna have a lot of people playing the game, quote unquote, competitively, or even just casually for fun, most of them aren't going to figure out how to own SPS and stake it and all the other things that go with it. Being in the ecosystem for 3-ish years now, like, it's all second nature to me and many of you guys and others listening, of course. But for those that don't yet know what Splinterlands is, there's a lot to absorb and understand to like fully grasp everything that's involved with it. Like I also like I still don't know the half of the stuff that I can do with like the Hive blockchain as far as like posts and stuff. And because you've got like Splinter Talk and you've got like there's so many different branches where it's like I never have the time to figure out like what I can and should do. And like with voting, upvotes, downvotes, like I don't have that much high power stake compared to many others. Like I think my votes were like 3 cents or something like that, maybe. But it's like I think I'm supposed to be upvoting, downvoting something each day, but I I don't grasp all that stuff still. So even being in the ecosystem for 3 years, there's still plenty that I don't fully understand that I feel like I should understand or like I'm missing out on. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I always joke. I think I was like playing the game for 6 months before I even realized that, what the Hive engine was, and then I had a Hive engine account and wallet over there that I could, transfer and buy assets from. I was too, like I was sort of when I first got into the game, it was great that you could use credits, and I was using the Wax blockchain as well to buy assets and transfer stuff. Forget exactly because I know like because I can get Wax. I use crypto.com and I could get Wax and I could send Wax, from the app to my Wax account. And then I could, get stuff there and bridge it over. But like I can't get Hive off of that. So I know it's a little more difficult. Yeah, but I totally agree that you're making it easier. It's important because, the team does a really good job of putting together I mean, I remember when I first joined the game, there wasn't as an extensive like help pages and shows you like step by step on how to do everything. There's lots of images and it's like, click on this button, do this, click on this. But like, you still look at those things and it's still, like 20, 30 steps to do a lot of stuff. And it's complicated. And then when you have issues with, the bridge isn't working properly or something's messed up, not configured right in your MetaMask wallet. And, you're not able to like transfer stuff in, if like the Hive blockchain's slow and there's delays in the in processing block times and stuff for Hive engine, and you're trying to swap something and the swap gets hung up and you're just like, well, was my money just gone? And you kind of know it's not, at this point, like, oh, it'll all get cleared out, it's going to take some time. But for new people who maybe have are a little more tentative of crypto and a little more wary of NFTs still, when stuff like that happens, you probably freak out and be like, I've lost all this money and it's gone and I'm never going to get it back again. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. There's in a follow-up to that is the communication within the game, right? Like if a new player comes on board, where do I turn to? It's not even that easy to find, where do I email support? There's not a drop down from the main profile thing. For all of us,
I've heard Rob too is like if you want to see what all different card abilities are on site, like it's on there, but it's not obvious at all. Like I forget if Nate said in Town Hall or someone else's video I saw it at some point, but I think it's like I don't remember offhand.
I go to Splinter Cards, right, for just about all that stuff.
Yeah, because we know of those things, but
exactly. Yeah. I mean that's 100% my point. So thinking about the one-click stuff, I think we're starting to see glimpses of that happening. I think it was fairly recently that the team implemented an SPS delegation as part of a spellbook purchase. You get some credits back. We just saw a pre-proposal. It looks like it's failing, but the idea was to increase and I'm gonna tap the People's Guild on our own shoulders for this one. It was right after the episode with Dave, and we were talking about the idea of including different sort of components in the cost of the spell book or the price for the spell book. And the pre-proposal was based around the idea of increasing the cost to compensate and compensating that increase with the inclusion of rebellion packs. So
did
it seems like
that proposal yet? Because it was very, very vague and like just said like here's kind of like a vague idea, but didn't have like any specifics whatsoever.
no, I don't think they have. Dave commented something to the effect of, I was expecting this to be an option where you could still pay the standard $10 get the spell book and everything that's currently included, or you could pay $15-20 and get, you know, a number of rebellion packs. But it seems like the community sentiment is largely embracing the idea of offering tiers. So something that would be really cool is you know, you pay, you know, Dave kind of was pointing to ideas like this, but something that I would love to see is, you know, you pay $25 and you've got you know, a silver deck modern delegation from the DAO for 2 months. You've got the necessary SPS to be earning at I don't know, 6x multiplier or whatever that number is. You know, maybe we can include something like a buddy system to help navigate all of the technical stuff that you guys were just kind of hashing out where the issues are. Yeah, I feel like there's the current offering is just barely passable. So there's a lot of room for improvements. But it's good to see that the community is largely in agreement around that and willing to come up with some new ideas.
And I still think it'd also be beneficial if they could have like a mobile only version that like isn't blockchain, crypto, whatever, just to like a free to play version so people can get acquainted with the game. Maybe have like pops in like, had you played this on, you know, the Hive blockchain at this rate and stuff, you would have earned this much SPS, which is worth this much money. And like after so many times, be like, oh, I could have made like a lot today. I should look into this the actual game, or however you want to phrase it. It's like,
Yeah, that's interesting. You know,
like the ghost card tournaments. So like just having something where, you know, people that aren't already playing can play and like see what it can all offer without, you know, spending thousands or tens of thousands to get to that point. See if they actually like it first, and, you know, hook some people. And once they realize that, oh, I can do the same thing but make money too, okay, let me look into this, and have like more initiative and more incentive to actually figure it all out.
Yeah, that's really interesting. We definitely talked about the issues with, you know, the mobile near before, and just how I know some of the thing is that, you know, because it's crypto based and because the app stores tend to take a lot of you know, kind of any transactions that go on. It's kind of teams have kind of been prohibited from really utilizing that. But that's a, you know, and we've talked about also having different game modes where people could kind of play it, not earn, but be able to play max level cards, and just to kind of see what those abilities and stuff are like. So yeah, and that's a really good idea to kind of combine that into, you know, the mobile app version. Is maybe you can play for, you know, at a X level, you know, play at like bronze or something like that for free. And then if people wanted to, you know, spend money, you can unlock those ghost cards to, you know, play at silver or gold or diamond or different level cards, and be able to play the game and not earn that way, to get people more interested and hooked and get more revenue for the team. That's a really interesting thought. I like that a lot.
I think we got to bring leagues back to make that happen, right? Otherwise, you
Well, you would unlock the level of cards, right?
Folks to the wolves.
You would unlock that level
sure.
of cards, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. So, and the rating system could stay the same, where you're kind of yeah. So, but yeah, that'd be interesting. Jeff, I'm wondering how you think about, like, you know, is Pokemon, how many sets a year does Pokemon come out with? Is it multiple sets a year? And
they have a main set quarterly, and last few years they usually have like 2 specialty sets per year too now. So they're averaging a set every 2 months.
Wow.
That's a lot of cards to keep up with, right?
Yeah. So like I'm always feel like my mind, I'm always thinking like people are complaining that like, oh, they came up with Rebellion, another set. Like, this is terrible. I just spent all this money on their sets. Like, well, most card games have at least 4 sets every year. Granted, you don't need 400 copies of a common and stuff like that too. So like the costs are very different as well. So it's trying to figure out in my mind like how to make the two like equal. I haven't like fully gone down that rabbit hole to get a grasp of that. Just like a random player's budget wise kind of thing. But
yeah. Well, how many like packs do you think you would have to buy for Pokemon to kind of average out getting a full set of all the cards?
Well, for Pokemon, you can like just find a deck list online, and a lot of competitive decks you can build for as low as, you know, $100 or less.
Yeah.
And then go to a tournament and be competitive with that one deck. Whereas Splinterlands, like the more cards you have, the more options you have, and the more chance you win any random game that comes up with the rule sets. Which I like the concept where like every card has value in the right context. It's also that more expensive to have that full war chest of options.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's
And
tough.
like,
So I mean, how do you feel about Splinterlands though, with kind of the time frame they've set out now? We're gonna do, a set a year. Um, what's that going to do to the value of the cards, and kind of how, from your background with Pokemon, some of those other trading card games, how do you think that's going to affect things?
well, I know they definitely obviously can't have the rollout schedule like the main TCGs do with multiple sets every year, because with the amount of cards and wanting to have all of the cards ideally, like that would not be sustainable for very many people. I think I've possibly heard After Sound saying like possibly like say, okay, Rebellion comes out, but it kind of has like quarterly releases where it's like smaller parts of the sets, but then packaging might be really weird and stuff too. Like there's a lot of different nuances and go into things that some stuff might work in theory or on paper that just wouldn't work in practice. But
I mean, I feel like
overall, it's definitely more
the
expensive.
yeah, I feel like the best compromise there is releasing the full sets in full, as we just saw with Rebellion. Sticking the promo cards in there, and then the kind of tapered, staggered release of the Soulbound cards, just to keep things fresh. Because you want to have that balance of a fresh, kind of ever changing meta, right? And constantly introducing new cards to keep the gameplay fresh, in combination with rule sets and that sort of stuff. All that's the other side of the equation, which also helps keep things fresh. But for a long time, when it was just Chaos Legion Untamed, it wasn't until we got Soulbound cards that things felt like they were exciting again. And then things felt stale after everybody started, having relatively close to max or very similar levels of Soulbound cards after 6, 7, 8, 9 months. So I feel like, I think the core set release schedule is set to be what, every 18 months, something like that.
Something like that.
I think so.
Which feels like a long stretch of time. I do expect that we'll get a mini set, right, to kind of help, keep things fresh, but between now and then. But that's still
If
a
they didn't have a mini
long
set,
stretch of time.
they would have 6 months of no packs in the shop, which that feels too long. Like 3 months, I feel like is stretching it. 6 months would be an eternity.
Yeah.
Next, like we'll burn out of Rebellion in December, I believe. So if they wouldn't have a mini set, they wouldn't have a set after Rebellion until June, July. That'd be a long time.
I mean, but that's also good for third-party sellers, right? Like guys like yourself who, maybe buy a little bit more than what's necessary for my deck, and it gives the card a chance to appreciate while everything is still in modern and relevant in the current meta. It's a really fine balance to kind of walk with respect to timing and releases, and how many things to release, and how often should we stock the shelves and that sort of stuff.
That could be wrong, but I think I saw Mondroid saying on Twitter somewhere that like basically Chaos Legion is the exception, not the rule, to just packs and cards in general, where like every set except for Chaos Legion, appreciated upon being rotated or going out of print. Going out of print, not being rotated. But Chaos Legion, there's just so many more than everything else that it's the anomaly. So basically saying like once Rebellion is, burns out and stuff, like without saying numbers, basically implying like it should be almost expected that, Rebellion will say double in value within 3 months of going out of print or something like that, especially while still in the modern format as well. Especially if we don't get like a major push of packs between now and brain out. Like if we end up with only 2-3 million packs in circulation, that could get interesting if and when there's a big influx of players thereafter, especially. Don't know what we'll see from killer whales and stuff ultimately. Hopefully we see some sort of noticeable benefit from that player base wise, but like I kind of think of like, don't know how we'll correlate with like the overall market and stuff, because that plays a role too, but I feel like the big heyday for Splinterlands could be when the next main set comes out, because that can just really put like the extra scrunch on DC and really ramping up the SPS burning. So we saw a good amount of that when Rebellion released, but like that's basically just absorbing all the excess. So now when we have a next major release that needs a lot of DEC, that's when I think we can really see supply crunches and really see the flywheel really start to show its wings and such, and what it can really accomplish. Not financial advice.
No, but just one thing I'm always struggling with is, if we do hit that where, the rebellion packs are all burned out and we get a rush of people maybe join the game, but is the cost, of entry going to be so high that it turns some people off, right? Like one can, spend a couple $100 and get a very competitive deck and go to tournaments and, play and have fun where, in Splinterlands, especially if it's, we're looking at, once, like you really said, Chaos Legion is the exception. I really like that the price point was so much lower, ended up being so much lower for cards. And, if people have to say, well, like a Rebellion, you spend, a couple grand to maybe get silver to gold level deck. It's a lot of money. It's a lot more, and it's going to create that barrier of entry to people. Whereas would we be better served of having a lower barrier of entry, cheaper cards, but having more people in the ecosystem to, like you say, like drive up the price of SPS, because more people are going to want to use DEC, more people are going to want to have staked SPS. There's that give and take there, and are we hurting ourselves by wanting the card assets to be higher? Is that to the detriment of all this other stuff?
There's definitely a lot of like give and take and ebb and flow. It's like it'll be interesting to see if and when we have a lot more players, and if and when SPS price is a lot higher, what that will do as far as staking requirements. Like if you want to play in champ and have a 10x, you need like 500,000 plus SPS staked. Well, if SPS gets to even a quarter, well, that's $125,000 staked SPS to get a 10x multiplier in champion. Like that's not going to be very many people that are going to do that unless they got SPS, now. If people are coming in fresh to the game, it's like, oh, just say hypothetically, this guy over here is like, oh, this game seems amazing. I want to be a top level player. What do I do? Oh, like even if they are already in love with the game and like they full on would love to be competitive, but then they hear they gotta spend however much on the cards, and oh yeah, and if you want to have the staked SPS to get proper earnings, you need $125,000 worth. Like that'll turn off a vast majority of people. Now I saw people saying too, like if we get to that point, well, if you're still getting however many quantity of SPS per win, well, maybe at that point, having a 2x multiplier is sufficient because you're making that much per win. And while you can get 10x per win, that's only a select few people that really get paid off nicely, but isn't like the realistic goal or expectation for anybody and everybody.
Yeah, I feel like the SPS number is going to be the token price is really going to be the differentiator there. I think about when Waskel came in, and the prices of DEC and the prices of cards. We were talking about it with Dave last week, where the Wavesmith, he was selling them for, what did he say, $10, $8, something like that.
I think you said like $5-6 a pop, like
$5-6.
Wavesmith, yeah.
Yeah.
And like
but
$50 and
yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, it's do you still think that Chaos Legion has a chance to go green for you? We talked about it a little bit last week, and less than 1,000 players looking to come in and get max decks, right around 1,300 players coming in looking to play at the gold level. That would wipe out all of the packs that are still floating around.
Yeah, it's basically where like it's way too many cards until it isn't. And then like it could happen in the course of a week in the right conditions where you go from, wow, there is just way too much of this, to where did it all go? Now it's worth how much, and why isn't there more? Why do we burn any packs? Why? Like crazy things can happen if the just certain things, certain levers get pulled kind of thing. Like I'm just waiting for like the craziness to happen and hoping it happens because I'd love for my SPS bags to pump like crazy. I saw after Sunday video, can SPS go to $8? I'm like, sure, let's do it. If it does, I will say I will not have all my SPS now until it hits $8. I will sell some before that. I've been a pig enough in my life to not take profits anymore. Did that with penny stocks in college. Did that with Top Shot. Didn't do with Our Planet. So yeah, if it goes up that much, yeah. Like I have solace telling myself like that Bitcoin that I should have somewhere, I wouldn't still have it if I had access the whole time. Like I would have sold most, if not all of it, well before now. I wouldn't have 10 Bitcoin at $60,000 plus. I'd maybe still have one. Like I would have sold half and gotten my investment back some point after a 2x and taken more here and there. But yeah.
I remember reading an article, someone was
nice
talking about like, oh, all these people talk about, oh, if I had bought Bitcoin when it was you know, at $100, but they were like, you wouldn't still have it. Like you would have sold it at 1,000 and told everybody how smart you were, you know, like
and the infamous Bitcoin for pizza and stuff too.
Yeah.
I wonder if that pizza place still has all that Bitcoin. I'm sure they sold it along the way too. Maybe that's who just sold all that Bitcoin yesterday and for like $64 million.
Dropped the price. Yeah.
It does a lot of people. A lot of people who said if it once it hits an all-time high, I'm gonna sell some off. And
I saw a clip from like 2015 or something like that. It's like just a guy with grainy videos like, there it is, a new all-time high for Bitcoin, $111. This is crazy. And now it's like, oh, well, it changed $111 in like less than 30 seconds. Like now that's nothing in the correlation to the price of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I was watching it yesterday where like went from like 65 down to like 59 and change, and then back to like 62 5 minutes later. It's like, huh. I'm still looking for like, I've been wanting to like, get an entry into Bitcoin myself too. I don't actually own any Bitcoin myself. And like I keep thinking like, oh, there'll be, you know, one of those typical 20-30% pullbacks, and it just keeps going higher. It's like if yesterday was the pullback, which lasted for like minutes, where it dipped as low as 59.6 or something, like, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. You should have caught it. Yeah.
Yeah, we had the sell the news on the ETFs were in from like 48 to 38, and it's just been up and up since then for the most part. Like this one's the consolidation is just up sideways, not really any pullbacks. So it's definitely an interesting market. Keep waiting to like wake up in the morning and just see like, oh, SPS went from 3 cents to 10 cents while I was sleeping. Cool.
I mean, it's totally possible
that can happen. Just win.
Yeah. I mean, we saw not to that magnitude, but it pretty much 3x'd overnight with when Rebellion was coming out. We've had pretty solid numbers in the last couple of weeks too. It's steadily been ticking up. I think it went down a little bit today, but well, it's back above 2.8.
Oh wow, that's good.
So yeah, not bad.
Nice.
All right, gentlemen. Well, Jeff, is there anything else that you kind of want to get out there and throw into the wind and chat through?
Not in particular.
Happy?
Yeah, good. Come check us out on are we doing it on Mondays or Tuesdays, or we just don't know? Check us out on our Peak D page. We'll announce when our next battle royale is. But yeah, every 2 weeks. Check us out. They're fun.
I didn't catch the last couple. Are you guys doing like any kind of stakes or ever yet, or is it all purely for fun?
It's all purely for fun.
Yeah, we've batted around the idea. Maybe if because at this point
like, oh, if you lose, you got to burn this much SPS or something like that. Or
we did talk about that.
Yeah, at this point we've got a couple of different guilds represented. So I wonder if we could do like some guild representation of battles, because we had you know, we obviously have Rogue and Tails and Virus from a guild. Hep and I are in a guild. So we could do a little head-to-head guild action and, you know, kind of best man. What is the guild's final standing at the end of the day, sort of thing. But yeah, we haven't fully crossed that bridge yet, but we have been talking about some ideas. But yeah, I think the only confirmed time is non-town hall weeks. Occasionally on town hall weeks. I don't see why that couldn't happen, but yeah, follow us on Twitter. I have not been good about posting the announcement of Battle Royale stuff on Peak D, but it does make its way around the airwaves on X or Twitter.
How long until people typically refer to it as X?
I
Everyone
don't
still
know
calls
if
it Twitter.
We're getting there. I feel like it's so fun. It's so annoying to like read because like so much of the news now is stuff that people are taking comments from people who are posting on X, and it's like X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. It's like you have to waste 8 words now just to describe it to people. It's so annoying.
And couldn't they have at least incorporate a bird into the X logo at least, just to like I've seen different like AI renditions of that, like, oh, here's a bird in the shape of an X. You can make that work, but
yeah, why not?
Why not?
Well, something I don't think we'll ever turn over is the verb. Like what is the verb for posting on X? Do you say I posted on X, or is it
I X'd?
Is it I X'd? Yeah.
I X'd.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna forever remain. I tweeted, like, check out my tweet. All right, gentlemen. Well, Jeff, absolute pleasure having you on, man. It's long overdue. We've been a fan from a distance for a long time, and for those of you looking at or looking for some fun viral Jeff Opens Cards content. What is this video called, Jeff? I forget. It's the
Pokemon's Sickest Reaction, a parody of PewDiePie or something like that.
Yeah, and it's the card the card that you have your freak out is Phoebus, is that right?
Yeah.
And Phoebus, my understanding is Phoebus is not actually a great card, right?
No, it's more people know what Magikarp is. It's basically a newer version of Magikarp, just like a different newer generation of crappy fish.
Got you. Yeah, so without having any context of what this Pokemon card meant to Pokemon lovers, it was a very entertaining few minutes to watch, man.
Yeah, like PewDiePie did a video that basically like parodied PokeTubers like overreacting to their polls. So then I parodied him basically, 10 poll marketing. I think my channel that I posted on had like 500 subs at the time, and that really helped that channel get off the ground, basically.
Yeah, I think I saw that video was better part of 1 million views. So well done.
500,000 or so.
Okay.
I know the viewing audience can't see, but the cards in the video I now have graded. I've got my PSA 9 Flashfire Phoebus, my PSA 9 Reverse Phoebus, and the quote unquote ripped Secret Charizard, also PSA 9. No Charizards were harmed in the making of that video. Yeah, got those encapsulated for my own collection. So like, I didn't care what grade they got, just like I should have these graded and just kept immortalized. Be cool if I could have like custom slab where it says like from the 2PS1 pack video, but
yeah, you should have gotten you should have QR coded the link to the YouTube video to get them on there somehow.
Yeah. For that video, like at the time I had a YouTube sub network that specialized in PokeTubers. Had someone in my network actually make like a custom soundtrack for the video too. So if you pay attention, like the background music and sounds, like it's to the video. It's not just random. So it's all very, very cool how that all came together. And other than the audio portion, like it was one-man production. I literally had to like move my camera multiple times and then go running and then move my camera and do another thing. And my wife wasn't home at the time, so
Nice.
she was glad she didn't have to witness any of my tomfoolery. But
instead, you subjected some innocent McDonald's employees, which was absolutely hysterical.
Oh yes, that's quite quality. My wife's favorite part is actually when I yell to the bird. But yeah,
I got a Phoebus.
I was gonna do more drive-throughs, but like the Burger King across the street, they have like basically a concrete curb all around it. So like I wouldn't have like an exit strategy. So I didn't want to have to actually go to the drive-through window. So But yeah, nobody was in on it, so it was interesting.
Wow, a lot of fun, man. Keep doing what you do, Jeff. For anybody in the greater Green Bay, Milwaukee area, pay the game capital a visit. Some cool stuff going on up there, and
I should also say, speaking of not being tech savvy, if anyone would have the know-how for me to set up something where like I could offer different Pokemon products for like DEC at PEG, that's something I'd love to do. Just I don't know how to do it like efficiently without having to do like individual transactions. But I'd love to be able to say like, yeah, for this much DEC, you can get a boost to a box of one of the newest sets. Like I don't know if that's something many people in Splinterlands would be interested in, but that's one thing I could do to, help provide value to DEC at PEG. Just I don't know how to make it happen.
Man, you should talk to Mango Mayhem. He runs a bar in the Philippines, and for a long time, I think he still does it. He sells food and drinks for DEC. I don't know how he manages it, but yeah, he's been doing that for he was doing that for quite some time. Like I said, I'm not sure if that's still a product backed stable coin in his neck of the woods of the Philippines, but yeah, another point of reference would be what the Venezuelan community is doing with Hive. Obviously a different token, but I know there are a bunch of retailers that are offering product for Hive, which could be a cool way to go about it too.
Very cool.
Yeah, but cool. All right, everybody. Well, yeah, thanks again, Jeff. A lot of fun chatting with you, man, and very cool stuff happening in the Midwest. Glad you enjoyed your cheese curds to bring as Midwest a flavor to the show as possible. Appreciate you stopping by, man. Yeah. All right, everybody. Man. Well, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll catch you next week, and you have been listening to
The People's Guild.